Michael, we're gonna do this. Yeah, we're ready.
So, episode 8. Good
I don't
job
know.
for the fight week.
Episode 8? Okay, episode 8, yes.
Yes, it is indeed. The fight of the weekend, Fabio Ward, Joseph Parker. Your thoughts, please.
Okay, I've seen the old fight, the round number 1. It was a fight for Parker, He was very good in this round, but after, all around the fight, Wardley, made a lot of body shot, on Parker. During all the fight, a lot of body shot on Parker, and Parker was not the same at the end of the fight, He seemed a little bit tired, but he was very good. The ninth round was, I think, the best round in the fight, because Parker was good, He made a right on Mr. Strong, powerful right on Mr. Wardley. Wardley was hurt, But after Wardley, he's got a very good chin, Michael. A very good chin. And, at the end of the ninth round, Parker was hurt in this fight, Michael. And after that, he was not the same boxer at all, during the end of the fight. And in the 11th round, it was finished for him. And Wardley won this fight, Michael.
Yeah. What did you think of the stoppage? Was it premature, or do you think it was a good call from the referee?
I think it was a good timing for a stoppage, Michael. About the referee, he made a very good job, and I think, yes, I know Parker said he was not ready for the stoppage. He could do more, but I don't think so. I think it was the end for Parker. Wardley was superior. At the end of the fight, Parker was a little bit. He was bigger. 20 pounds over than Wardley, and in the fight, if you're too big, and if the fight is goes, at the end, I think you have less chance to win this fight. Wardley was he had at this time 240 pounds, and Parker 260 pounds. Yeah. It made a difference, I think the same thing with Fury, he trained with Fury, this gentleman, when they came in the ring, those gentlemen are too heavy, I think, and I think it was the reason why he lost this fight, Michael. He won a revenge.
It was a great fight. I mean, I saw it, I haven't watched it properly, but I've seen enough of it to be able to say, wow, what a fight. I mean, it was just pulsating pretty much from the word go, it was non-stop. Wardley, going into that fight, obviously, I thought Parker was going to do it, it was just, it's a major upset, really,
Yeah.
And the thing is, looking pretty kind of poor when he won the interim world against Justice Oni, Fabio Wardley. How he's gone from that performance, all the way to performing like he did in the space of 3-4 months is just amazing. It's just an amazing transition, so to speak. It was just amazing how he is just sort of like, he seems to have improved tenfold within the space of 3 or 4 months. The destiny called and Wardley answered. He still had a few sort of like boxes to tick, but there's 2 things Wardley has that you can't teach or you can't give a fighter, and that's a punch, because he's a world-class puncher. Proved that now more so, because he shook Parker up quite a number of times throughout the fight, throughout the contest.
Yeah.
But also a chin. He can
Yeah.
really hold a solid shot and at a world level.
He's
And
got it.
I mean, it was a great fight. It was to and fro at times. It was a war of attrition. You know, they was instilling each other's, art into the fight. It was a fight of. It was a little bit like the one Hunt Cowie of Vander Holyfield. It was just a throwback of the fight. You know, it was just, as I say, a war of attrition, and it was just something amazing. It was a beautiful fight. For me, it was marred by a poor stoppage. I know you said you didn't think it was, but myself, I felt that the referee could have just let it go a little bit longer, albeit 5, maybe 10 more seconds, and seen what would have happened. You know, I mean, I respect what you're saying, and a fighter's health is more important. But a fight of that magnitude, as I said before with Fury Usyk, the 9th round of the first fight, a fight of that magnitude, well, that didn't deserve a standing 8 count for the start. Getting back to Fury Usyk again, but this fight, I felt that the referee jumped in just a little bit too prematurely. I felt that he should have just let it go a little bit longer. Another 10 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, very maximum, just to give Parker that opportunity to sort of like try and fight his way back. If it had all been Waldley, then fair enough. But I just thought he could have just laid off a bit. He's done the same thing as Howard Foster back in 2013 when Carl Froch beat George Groves. That was a controversial stoppage that led to a rematch, which happened at Wembley Stadium. If Carl's watching, yes, there was 80,000 fans watching, but that returned. But it was a great contest, just marred, I think, by a slightly premature stoppage. But Waldley, you can't take nothing away from him. I can't take nothing away from him. I was pleased he won. I wanted him to win because he's a local fighter. He's 20 miles down the road from me.
Yes,
it's not far. He's almost a local guy.
IP Switch, IP Switch.
Ipswich, yes. I mean, they haven't had a lot of sort of like success fight-wise Anglia, like East Anglia, like Cambridge, Ipswich. I mean, you've had like guys like Dave Boy Green, who fought Sugar Ray Leonard in 1980. He's from the Fens in Cambridgeshire. Tyler Goodjohn, who's on my friends list. What a warrior! He had a recent bare knuckle fight with Paulie Malignaggi, the former world lightweight champion. What a warrior Tyler Goodjohn is. He's got power. He's got chin. Everything.
Absolutely. And a good strategy also. The body shot on Parker always in this fight. It was a very good idea.
Yeah. And Ipswich also produced Bury St Edmunds down the road from there. David Starry, who boxed Joe Calzaghe for the world super middleweight title on the same bill as Mike Tyson's British debut against Julius Francis, and he was a British champion and I believe Commonwealth. But then we had there was a show. I have to say this. It was a show in Ipswich back in 1995, and I have to say about this. The guy who was on that show, headlined it, billed at the top, was John Lewis, who went on to win the WBA heavyweight championship back here against Holyfield. He had a trilogy with both 3 or 4 fights, I think he had. And he boxed in Ipswich, so that's a good trivia question from anyone watching. But Waldley is by far the best. I mean, you obviously had another good guy, Ginger Sad from Norwich, and Irby Hyde, obviously, world heavyweight champs twice. But this guy, Fabio Waldley, is Ipswich's finest, export, physically speaking, definitely. He's a massive star now. And the thing is, with that performance, he had a lot of doubters, and including myself, before going into this fight. Yes, he had a puncher's chance, but he fought, well and truly beyond the call of duty in that fight. He showed so much art.
Yeah.
That's what makes the fighter. Art. That's what it's all about, really.
Very important, yeah.
And, this is a guy he's a natural fighter because he had, I think, 4 amateur fights, what they call white-collar fights. And, then he turned professional pretty much as what we would call, and I will say, a novice pro. Because this, if you have no hardly any amateur experience, I mean, he only, as I say, only has 4 amateur fights, white-collar fights. this is kind of like, this is basically a novice professional, and within that time span, he's got, he could go into the trenches. This is what he proved in this fight. He goes into the trenches, and that's where he likes it. And that is a dangerous, dangerous guy. Even Alexander Usyk, prior to the Parker fight, and I'm going to say this, I could never envisage Fabio Wardley against Alexander Usyk. And as I say, I never thought he was going to win this fight. Yes, he had a punch to Charles. We both said that going into this fight. But I just got to see him beat Parker. But I tell you now that what I think right now is that I believe that
Parker won a revenge.
Wardley Usyk isn't a walk in the park. I don't think it's going to be that easy a night for you.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, when you've got a guy in front of you who is relentless and he wants to win so badly, that's a tough proposition for anybody, no matter how good you are. And obviously, he's not going to be able to outbox Usyk. I know that, but he's got to really stick to Usyk like a tube of glue and exert that pressure that he did with Parker, because Parker is a much bigger man than Usyk. And I said the same thing about Dubois. When he pressured Usyk, okay, he got beaten twice. He seemed to have a bit more success than Dubois did. So that's the thing. Size does matter. And unlike Dubois, Wardley has no quitting. He will not stop until the fight is over with. And he's just a warrior through and through. Warrior. He's a warrior in capital letters. He has just got so much heart. And I don't believe that if he does fight Usyk, I'm not saying he's going to beat Usyk, but before, if someone said to me prior to Parker, I would just say Wardley hypothetically fought Usyk, how would that fight pan out? I would have said Usyk is going to just beat them out of boxing with ease. But now, after Saturday's performance, he has proved in the fight when he won the title in Ipswich against Justice Uni, the world class. Was he genuine world class? No.
But Michael, you know something, Michael, in the heavyweight, you just need one punch. One punch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the lights are closed, But at the ninth round, okay, if you follow the fight, the fight was for Parker, he was 3 rounds over Wardley in this fight. At the ninth round, he was the best one. But, as I told you, one punch. In the heavyweight, one punch can decide the winner, That's it. But I think, Parker won a revenge. And I think it would be very interesting revenge, because I think he's not ready, Wardley, for Usyk. I think it's clear. And maybe with Dubois, it would be interesting, this fight, Maybe Zhang, it would be interesting, this fight. Or I don't know if he fought Argovic. I don't know. But I think he's got a lot of fighters, we can prove he's the one, before fighting Usyk, Michael, I think.
Yeah. Well, Wardley, as I say, after Saturday's performance, he really has proven that he's a genuine world class.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He might not be a genuine world champion on paper, because he's got these injuries, WBA. But it's the fighter that makes the belts, and not the other way round.
He's got the WBO interim title, Mr.
WBA. But the thing is, so in essence, he's like a unified champion of the interim. But the thing is, apart from the unified, he's that performance that's propelled him into world class, into that upper level after Saturday's performance against Parker. And I believe that he will never be ready for Usyk skill-wise, but while he's got an heartbeat and 2 fists, he's got every chance of giving Usyk one hell of a fight, and I think he will really take Usyk into the trenches. And the thing is, I also believe that Usyk doesn't have the power. He's not a big puncher, Usyk, at heavyweight, but not taking nothing away from him. And I don't think he's going to have enough power to trouble Wardley.
He's got 62.5%, of KOs, percentage of KOs, Mr. Usyk, and Mr. Wardley, 95%.
Yeah, the thing is, the bulk of Usyk's stoppages have been a cruiserweight. He's only won, I think he's had 5-6 fights at heavyweight, top of my head, and he won 2 of those against the same man by stoppage, Dubois. He's the only guy he stopped twice. Really, in essence, he kind of stopped Fury, or he had him going in at 9th round back in the first fight. But whereas Wardley is obviously a proper, fully fledged heavyweight, a tried and trusted puncher now. He's proven it.
Today, if I can allow something, Michael, today he's the number 2 ranking by the ring. Today he's the number 2. The number 1 is also is still Fury, but he's number 2.
Yeah, I mean, Wardley, you said there's other guys he can go for, but basically, according to the organisations, the governing bodies, he's now earned the crack. In essence, that fight versus Parker Wardley, versus Parker on Saturday, Parker Wardley, that was really more of an elimination fight than an actual real world title fight. I've got to make that clear to the listeners, the viewers. That's my opinion. Though on paper, as I say, it was a WBO incident, but this is it, paper championships.
This is it, yes.
No disrespect to Fabio, because, if it wasn't for Usyk, he would be cleaning up, trust me. But he has proven his worth. He doesn't need to worry about anyone else. This is his big opportunity. Frank Warren wouldn't put him in with another contender or a rematch with Parker, though Parker deserves a return. But it's about money, Richard. It's a business, boxing.
Always, Michael.
But it's always been about money. And the richest prize in the world in sport is the heavyweight championship of the world. And now he's got it in his sights. If Wardley was to fight someone else and a potential banana skin and slip up and lose, then his chance at fighting and possibly winning the undisputed championship has gone. And Frank Warren is in it to make the most money he can for himself and also his fighter.
Yes.
And it's a no-brainer. It's only one fight to be made. Frank Warren, if he was here, he would say, I ain't putting Fabio in with someone else. I think Fabio is part Italian. I'm not too sure, because obviously the name Fabio must have some Italian somewhere. But the thing is, it's a foregone conclusion. There's no way Warren will put him in with another guy and risk that potential now fight with Usyk for all the titles. That's happening next year, definitely. He won't even let Fury get in the way of that. But then again, he manages Fury. Maybe Wardley will take some sort of sidestep money and then fight the winner of Fury Usyk, number 3 if it happens. But Wardley should not be fighting anybody next until only Usyk and hypothetically speaking, Fury, the winner of Fury Usyk, he should fight him.
No, he is in the top 5, Michael. I think it's a good thing for him. But we don't see something very often. We've seen 2 fighters in the same company. The same with Frank Warren. So I don't see this very often. 2 fighters in the same family. 2 fighters.
Yeah. I mean, history beckons. We had Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury a few years back. That was going to be Saudi Arabia. That would have been an history-making fight, because never has 2 British heavyweights ever boxed for an undisputed heavyweight championship. That was history in the making. Eddie admitted it. He saw too many dollar signs, and the fight got scrapped. And then Joshua lost to Usyk. That fight was blown out of the water. And now it's come round. It's evolved round to where now Fury or Wardley versus Usyk. Now, if either of those two, Fury or Wardley, beat Usyk, then Frank Warren is laughing all the way to the bank, because then he's got control of both those guys, just like Don King had in the 80s.
It's
But
about
he's
control,
got-
also about money, yes.
Oh yeah, well, Fury versus Wardley would be an history-making fight.
It's a replayable fight, yeah.
Yeah, I hope to see it in Britain. I don't want to see it in Riyadh. You know, that ruins the romance of the sport. You know, it's two British fighters. They should be getting it on in the land where it all began. You know, Wembley Stadium. You know, a long left hook from where it all began. You know, Jack Porter brought the balls at the top of Port Road.
But what do you think, Michael, about AJ? AJ against Wardley. I think it would be a very nice fight. Also at the Wembley Stadium.
Well, John and AJ, you know, no disrespect to him, he's been out a year now. He needs to get into the line. He's got to sort of get back into pecking order. I don't know what he's doing.
Absolutely.
There was a rumour that there's a big card in Nigeria in December, and they're talking about him fighting on that. But then I've heard that he isn't, so nothing's actually set in stone. But as far as I know, you know, we'll be obviously fighting, if not in December, definitely next year. But he's got to be looking at, I don't know where he is in the mix. I really don't know. You know, I mean, he's obviously quite a way behind. I mean, the nearest Anthony Joshua would get to a world title fight now, obviously what with the, call it the 8 triangle, not love triangle, of Wardley, Fury, Usyk, is at earliest a world title fight, and that'll be like a year away now, you know, because he's got to work, he's got to get himself back in. Yes, he's a marketable name, he's a massive name still in the heavyweight division. He's excitable, he's exciting, but and he puts bums on seats, so to speak. You know, he likes, you know, he gets doors in the crowds, but he's really got to get back in the pecking order. You know, Eddie Hearn can't wave a magic wand and get him a world title shot like that. He's got to, obviously, after that was a devastating loss to Dubois. You know, it's devastating, and
Yes, I know.
he needs to get himself back up there. But
He needs to fight. Yes.
yeah. At the moment, the championship, the heavyweight championship, is the only eyes here, the only fights that are worth making, and rightfully so, is between these 3 guys: Fury, Wardley, Usyk. Simple. That is it. That's all everybody wants to see. And then, who knows, Joshua maybe afterwards. It's a very, very exciting time at the moment in Britain.
I think we will see a fight, I think. Deontay Wilder against Anthony Joshua soon. I've seen that, you know, in the media.
I mean, don't believe everything you read. There's a lot of sort of fake news being bandied about.
Yeah,
and,
you're right, Michael. A lot of fake news.
Through. I mean, last year we had a British boxer, and I was guilty of it. Mark Kaler. There was a rumour going around that he passed away. He was a British Commonwealth champion in the 1980s, and I admit I jumped the gun. I thought he had passed away, and I put it on. And there's, what were you doing? And he wasn't dead, you know. Because, and this is the thing. Now I've learned my lesson. Next time I see that someone passed away, I don't do anything until I'm actually. I don't pay my respects until I'm actually certain that this is true. Because, and this is the thing with social media. There's a lot of scumbags on there who will, you know, put things up and just think it's funny when it's not true, or just to get likes or to get attention. And that's So don't believe everything you read online. It's,
you know, I've seen something this morning, Michael. You know, John Fury talk about his son. You know, and he don't want a fight. You know. His son against Wardley, you know, he don't want it, you know. I think he's not for this fight. I think John won Tyson Fury, you know, retired. I think he don't want to see his son, you know, fight again. As a professional, I think, and as he told before, you know, Tyson Fury had a lot of money. He has a lot of money, you know. He's ready for retirement, you know. But I don't know. Tyson Fury, I think he likes to train, you know, himself, you know. I think he want to be, you want to still, you know, in the light, as you told you before, you know. I think it's important for him. John don't want to fight. He don't want to fight, you know, Fury with Usyk. Fight number 3. He don't want it.
Yeah. Well, if Usyk apparently is penciled in for April or May against his next opponent. Wardley, after Saturday, he needs to have a good rest. He needs to rest now. Enjoy Christmas, get that out of the way, and just not come back now. I mean, obviously, well, if he fights Usyk, April, May, I think that's a little bit out of the equation. I think he needs to be looking at a July fight because he needs to seriously rest up after that. That was a grueling fight. That puts mileage on a fight. I know he's relatively still fresh for his age, but he's had one or two wars. Fraser Clark, the first fight, that was an absolute war. And then in the return, he stopped Clark in one round. But again, it may well happen in May, but I think he needs a little bit more time out to rest up and be, fresh for the Usyk challenge if it happens. But I think, again, John Fury, he's a little bit like Daniel Dubois' father. He needs to poke his nose out of his son's business. He's big enough and ugly enough, Tyson Fury is, to make his own decisions in life. John Fury was a good pro in his time. A lot of people don't agree with that, but he fought some very good men. He beat one or two good men. He was a good fighter. I respect him for that. But he needs to really lay off and not sort of like make it about John Fury. It's Tyson Fury's decision at the end.
Yeah, but I think also I think you agree, but I think he want to protect his son, Michael.
Yes,
it's normal as a father,
That's of course. Like we said about Eubank Junior and Senior in the previous episode.
Yes,
that's fair enough. But at the end of the day,
10 minutes.
The Furies, yes, the Furies are about fighting crime.
Yep.
So, as far as I'm concerned, I think Tyson Fury will want to get there, he can't even score if he beats Usyk, but he will look for revenge. He will want to fight Usyk again, and that will happen. In an ideal world, after that draining performance for Wardley, in an ideal world, ideally, we should see Fury v Usyk number 3 in April, May.
Yes.
Then the winner of that should face the number 1 contender. Doesn't matter who ranks number 1, blah, 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 these governing bodies. That's irrelevant. He's earned the chance, Wardley. In my opinion, he is the rightful number 1 contender, not Fury. The ring have got Fury at number 1. That's just on name. But Wardley, after that win, in my opinion, he has earned the top spot, number 1 challenger. So with that, I think that it's. I think that ideally would be the fight, but give him time to rest because of the nature of that fight. It was such a brilliant contest against Parker. And then he fights the winner of Fury Usyk. July, maybe next autumn, something like that.
I think it's a possibility.
It gives him plenty of time to rest, and that's it. I mean, he sent a lot of distress signals to all the other heavyweights in the division. And probably Usyk also, but on the sheer boxing ability, it's a walk in the park for Usyk. But it's going to be a fight. He's going to drag Usyk. He knows what he's doing, Wardley, and Warren knows, and all his advisors around him. He's got to go in there and he's got to make a fight, just like he did against Parker. If he fights Usyk like he did Parker, then Usyk's in for a long, I don't know about painful, but he's in for a long night. And it's not going to be an easy fight whatsoever. But
no, it won't be an easy fight.
If Usyk survives, he can outbox him, easily. I'm not saying he won't. The thing I noticed with Wardley is he keeps his chin up in the air when he was low. And some of the punches he was throwing, they didn't look too polished, but he threw a lovely right uppercut, left hook. I think it was in the early going. And that he showed he's a devastating puncher without a shadow of a doubt. And, yes, he's got to polish up a little bit, but at the end of the day, he's a bit of a rough diamond, but physically. But as I say, he's got those two main attributes, chin and power.
Michael, I know you like. I know you like Alexander Usyk, Michael.
I love him. Yeah.
He told us, he will take his retirement, at 41 years old. Do you think Usyk gonna retire, undisputed? Do you think about it?
Well, Father Time's undefeated. We all know that, it's no man can beat time. Time waits for no man. And yes, I think at the moment, other than Wardley will give Usyk a thorough test, a really good fight. He really will, but he won't beat Usyk. I said that last week against Park. We won't beat Park. Look what happened. But and that's the beauty of the beast. It's such an unpredictable sport, boxing. You know, you just
That's why we like boxing, Michael. Yes,
one punch, exactly. But you know, it's very hard to say whether he will retire undefeated. I mean, I think he will beat Wardley on points. I can't see him stopping Wardley, but I'll see him winning on points. It will be an hard fight, but again, it'll be sort of similar to Fury a little.
You know, as I told you, I told you that, you know, Usyk, he's got 38 years old. We know Wardley, he's got 30 years old. 8 years of difference, you know, it's a lot, Michael. And nature is still nature, you know, and the youth against the experience, you know. I don't know.
Usyk is a relatively fresh 38-year-old. He turns 39 in January, and you know he's not got a lot of mileage on his clock really. I mean, he's got plenty more to offer. Yes, I believe he will retire undefeated at 41 years of age, because I don't see anyone on the horizon who's actually going to beat him. But that said, as I said before, Wardley has got the three main attributes: chin, art, and the power. And he's got that dogged determination, and he will really push Usyk as best he can. I'm not saying he's going to win, beat Usyk, he's not. I'm going to go for Usyk on points, but it won't be easy if it happens. But other than that, I don't see anybody else really troubling Usyk. You know, Fury, yeah, that'd be a third fight would be interesting. I mean, a lot of people said to me on my Facebook, they said, you know, once I watch that, it's been done and dusted. But as I said before, Fury, in my opinion, I know you don't agree with this, but he was inching a little bit closer on my scorecard, the second fight. But there's something I remembered, and I forgot to mention this to you last time. Fury, when he had Usyk on the ropes, he looked a bit gun shy. He didn't want to pull the trigger because he knows, Fury knows this, he's been watching it, he knows this. He knows Usyk can hurt, and he fears Usyk. Fury does, because he knows he's got the power to hurt, and he seemed to be a little bit gun shy. Wasn't ready to commit himself, you know, to go for. I mean, he said it before, like, he's coming in for the stoppage against Usyk, but when it came to it, he was like very hesitant. He didn't really.
But he put all his weight on Usyk, I think it's a strategy, you know. He's a big man, you know. And he put all his weight, you know, on Mr. Usyk. It's hard to beat a guy like that, a big guy like Tyson Fury, you know.
Yeah,
he's spectacular, you know.
Yeah, Usyk's done it twice. As I say, will he retire undefeated? Yeah, definitely. He can go on to 41 and retire undefeated. But I'd like to really see him call it a day now himself. But again, he's his own man, and he'll do what he wants. But I think it was his ex-manager, Alex, I can't think of his surname, first second off or something like that. He said, I think it was something like, I might get the quote wrong, but it was like basically like, it's okay taking 2 steps forward, an hour forward, and then you go back 2 minutes. 2 minutes forward and an hour back, which means, you know, having that one fight too many could prove, you know, he's undoing. As I say, as we agree, you know, Father Time is undefeated. Nothing's going to beat Father Time.
You know, I think, Michael, I have to congrats, you know, Mr. Calzaghe, Joe Calzaghe.
Oh, Joe,
yeah, because I think it's hard to know how to retreat himself, you know, and he made it, you know, with beauty, you know. I know Enzo didn't like it. But he said I was not able to fight again, and I took my retirement, you know. And I think I congrats this gentleman to did that, you know. I think he's one of the best in the British boxing, you know. This gentleman. And, I like Carl Froch also, he's a gentleman, this boxer, I like Froch.
If he called it a day after beating Dillian White on St George's Day at Wembley Stadium, that would have been the perfect and so fitting for him to walk out the game as an undefeated world heavyweight champion on St George's Day in front of Wembley Stadium. But he never. He carried on. He took on Chisora in a meaningless matchup. A guy he beat twice easily. The third time even more so comprehensively. And then obviously, he took the bait, Usyk, and that was it. But can I just say, the guy behind you in the photo, and it's rather fitting in regards to the forthcoming fight when it does happen, because it will happen, Wardley versus Usyk, because Wardley puts me in the mind of Chuck Wepner, and Usyk puts me in mind of Ali, and there's all those similar coincidences with the same date of birth, etc., etc.